Because having a liberal Democrat for a friend can be frustrating, and admitting that you have one as a relative can be extremely uncomfortable. But no, seriously, all kidding aside, and I do love you. But how far left are you going to allow this thing to be pulled? How far down the rabbit hole are you going to go before you say enough is enough? When are sane Democrats going to proclaim, I am not going to allow fascist, extremist progressives to hijack this party?
On November 3rd, the single dad scooping horse shit on some farm in southern Texas, struggling to pay child support, has the same amount of votes as the trust fund baby with the liberal arts major studying at their local Starbucks, bitching about how they had to step over some dirty man on the sidewalk to get in, who, by the way, is a veteran of the United States military that was left behind by the same socialist programs that a pseudo-aristocrat like Kamala Harris forced down his throat.
Kicking off liberal propaganda.
Nobody's ever going to be able to convince me that Keith Ellison's office, the Attorney General in Minnesota, was not completely aware of what was on that body cam footage. You're not going to tell me that the prosecutor in Hennepin County, Mike Freeman's office, was not fully aware that there was body cam footage that had not been released to the media or to the general public, and they knew exactly what was on it. And unlike any other case that involves the death of a suspect in a police-involved critical incident, what do they do every time? They fervently demand the release of the body cam footage. Release the body cam footage! But not in this case. It was different. The media was an echo chamber for the mayor's office in that city, Jacob Fry, framing it as a racially motivated murder within hours of George Floyd's overdose. The medical examiner has released information that shows that he had fentanyl and meth in his system. We have now seen that Mr. Floyd was yelling, "I can't breathe," before he was ever even physically contacted by an officer. We saw the active resistance. We saw the evidence of intoxication immediately. And they didn't want you to see that. The question you have to ask yourself is why?
Censored by Twitter.
There's no way that Joe Biden is on an 18-hour flight with his son Hunter to go overseas and then walk out of there with millions of dollars and not talk about it, or have him not taking his cut and not being involved. A little bit of critical thinking, a little bit of independent thinking, a little bit of free thinking here. Don't just listen to what daddy government and mommy media spoon feeds you every single day. Use your brain. We don't just go jump into a business venture and never talk about it together. We didn't just all of a sudden one day appear on the radio. All of a sudden, boom, we got 1 million people we're talking to on iHeartRadio. We didn't do that without consulting, with ourselves and with our families. We talk about these things. That's what you do. So don't tell me for 1 second, I'm not buying it, that Joe Biden didn't know what was going on with Hunter and these illegal, corrupt, shady dealings with where he walked away with upwards of $85,000 a month from an energy company in Ukraine without any knowledge of the Ukraine or energy.
The enemy, a progressive politician.
The drinks come, and I'm curious now. Because I'm like,
What
naturally,
are
what are you going to do? I mean, are you going to poke a hole in the mask? Or are you going to put the straw, underneath? What are you going to do? So I keep looking, and I think Marie kind of caught on to this, and she was kind of looking at me, looking at them, and her, she's kind of stop it. Just quit looking. Why do you care so much?
So rude.
Well, because it's a curious thing. I mean, we're all a part of this, right? I mean, we're all dealing with this, the compliance, and it's all nonsense. And, critical thinking, independent free thinkers know this is nonsense. So now it's becoming kind of a humorous thing, and it has to be, because if it's not humorous to you, you're going to drive yourself nuts. Absolutely. And so I'm watching, and so the drinks come, and of course, the woman, she ordered a glass of wine, and then her mother, I think, had a glass of wine too. And the guy, he was good with water. He was good with that.
He's driving.
Stick with his water. And so when the wine comes, it gets set down in front of her, and she kind of paused, and I think that she was in a moment of, what do I do here now? This might have been their first night out since the Rona hit. They're
can't be
really exploring, getting kind of daring, if you will, right? I mean, you're going to go out amongst the virus.
Get to know them, grow to love them.
Antifa.
I want to just be clear about something that you said because it's bothering me. This argument is always made, and then even people who support the police will say, "Are there a few bad cops?" Yeah, sure, there are a few bad cops, and I'm not discrediting that because I know that there are, Greg. And I'm not saying that what you're saying is less than intelligent, but here's my problem with that statement. My problem with that statement is the fact that, there's bad people in every profession, right? That's what a lot of people always say. Well, there's bad people in there's bad Domino's delivery drivers, there's bad auto mechanics, there's bad, this or that. None of them. There is no profession in the world that goes through more excruciating background checks, psychological evaluations, polygraph examinations. These backgrounders go to every city that they've ever lived in, every job that they've ever worked. They talk to first grade teachers, they talk to neighbors, they talk to associates, possible associates, known associates, relatives, all of those things. There are not a whole lot of bad apples in the law enforcement community that are just able to slide through that. And so
Sure.
I want that narrative to go away because you cannot compare the occupation of a police officer to the occupation of anywhere else where there are bad apples, because there are a lot more of them elsewhere than there are in the law enforcement community. And through these psychological evaluations and through these interview process and through the actual physical background of, the dissection of their social media accounts and their Twitter and going all the way back to day one on these the openings of these accounts, and you can't hide from the deletion of the account or the content because it's all there. And
once it's on the internet, it's forever.
It's there forever. And so there's no way that there's this systemic racism within that field. Those people are weeded out right away at the gates before they ever even get an interview before a citizen panel. Okay, so I want to stop talking about that. I want to stop saying that, well, there's bad people in every... We're not going to compare law enforcement to any other profession any longer on this program, because here's why. We honor our police. We honor our cops. We thank them every day for doing the job that they do, and we know what they've sacrificed to do that and what they believe in and the reason why they're there, and 99.9% of the roughly 1 million people that honor that badge and that blue uniform, or in some cases brown, I guess, if you know, whatever, those people are there for the right reasons, and they're doing it. Listen, they had to pay an exponential amount of money to go to, at least here in the state of Minnesota, to go to school to get their degree, and then go to skills training, and then become post-certified, and then become eligible to be licensed, and then go through the rigorous interviewing and backgrounding process, and then go through an academy, and then go through FTL phases, and then be on the street. It takes years of dedicated persistence in order to gain that position, and to insult them by comparing them to other professions. I'm just not going to tolerate it on this show anymore. And I'm not coming at you, Greg. I'm not, because...
No, you're fine. You're fine. I totally get what you're saying. I mean,
I've said it 100 times. It spread, and a lot of people were like, okay, well, then I'll watch NASCAR, and it went there. Okay, well, we'll watch Indy, and it went there, and it went to golf, and it went, so it's infiltrated all of these professional sports, and there was a bunch of different things that were given as examples to highlight the ways that these guys could really bring awareness. LeBron James, if you want to bring awareness, at the very beginning of the game in the playoffs, right at tip-off, your whole team, or maybe even just you, take a knee. Let them run up and down the court 100 times. Can you imagine the awareness that you would bring? Every single network, they would be talking about you and your awareness forever. What about this? Colin Kaepernick, when you were still playing, how about you as the leader of your team? You're the quarterback, right? You're the leader of the team, right, Richard? You're the quarterback, you're the leader, right?
That's
How about you talk to your special teamers and you tell them, listen, everybody on the receiving team, just take a knee. The kickoff team will realize what's going on. The guy who kicked the ball might run down, run it into the end zone. All of a sudden, you're down 6-0. And you know why you won't do it? Because the mob will come after you. You're not going to do anything that personally affects you, because really, at the end of the day, you don't care about black lives. You care about your platform, and you care about the sale of your shoes.
Broadcasting live.
Listen, I could give a shit less, to be honest with you, what anybody thinks. Matter of fact, I went to Runnings over the weekend on Saturday in my pajama pants.
In your pajamas?
Yep,
Just printing.
in my pajama pants, printing. You got it, man. Yep, mushroom
Yikes.
stamping for free. Black people are not the constituents of radical liberals. They don't belong to them. And for them to put themselves in a box where they automatically have to vote one way because of the color of their skin is basically tipping the hat to racism. That's saying, you got me. I'm still enslaved, and because of the color of my skin, I am required to vote for you. Richard, Jack Dorsey, the CEO of Twitter, just donated $3 million to Colin Kaepernick's new George Floyd initiative designed to replace the police with BLM community organizers. A coincidence? I think not. All of the communists are working together. The mayor of D.C., another communist Black Lives Matter activist, as we know, ordered the city to paint Black Lives Matter on the streets in front of the White House and renamed it Black Lives Matter Boulevard. Then she instructed the National Guard to leave the city and leave the White House undefended. You see where this is going? The website of Black Lives Matter states that their purpose is to protect transgender, queer, and black women against oppression and then defund the police. But how could BLM support George Floyd? He held a gun to the stomach of a pregnant woman and demeaned women in pornographic videos. Total hypocrisy. BLM started in 2016 to take down Trump and overthrow America. Just recently, Black Lives Matter added Black Lives Matter equals defund the police to their graffiti outside of the White House. There. It's as clear as day what this is all about. George Floyd did not deserve to die, but his death was not caused by racism. Ellison, Fry, they all withheld evidence from the public for 9 days in order to race bait and fuel massive destruction in America on behalf of the Communist Party. George Floyd deserves our love and compassion, but he did not die a hero and he did not die a martyr. He should not be glorified as another Martin Luther King. We've highlighted fact on this show on many occasions. The Relentless Truth Seeker Squad, Richard, depends on shows like this to point out blatantly obvious circumstance rather than just regurgitating political talking points that echo other conservative talk show hosts in the same way that they expect for us to honestly expose the lies of the mainstream media that fervently attack the president. They call him a bigot, a racist, a sexist, a misogynist, a super spreader. Conservatives are under attack. Our freedom is under attack. Democratically run cities are on fire. The black community suffers the greatest, and it's all at the hand of the left's defund the police movement. Democrats refuse to condemn the violent actions of radical and racist political groups like Antifa or Black Lives Matter, while they set fire to police departments, loot local businesses, set up autonomous zones that breed crime and the extortion of money and the forcible rape of citizens, just simply trying to leave their driveways to go to work or maybe run to the store to get groceries or diapers for their kids. The attack on freedom by liberal Democrats isn't solely targeting white men with guns and a faith in God. The assault is now affecting our children. Our kids from kindergarten through high school are being forced to wear a mask in school all day long. They have to wear this thing. There's no scientific data to support the masking, but yet we strip these kids of their ability to recognize their peers other than maybe by the mask they might remember from the other day. Democrats are taking away their ability to socialize by separating them in the classroom or in the lunchroom and in the gymnasium or at recess. There isn't one documented case in the entire world, not in Wuhan, not in Sweden, and not in the United States, where a child has spread the virus to an adult. Now, the World Health Organization has flipped their original position about lockdowns and now says they're not the answer. The WHO says lockdowns are absolutely not the answer. But the same people that claim the president isn't listening to the experts are going to ignore the science in this instance. There's no doubt that if you're a progressive, the rules are different than they are for freedom-loving Americans, especially those that support the president.
With a domestic population of 350 million and 7.8 billion worldwide, we thank the 12 of you that listen to this garbage.
It's garbage, and I'll tell you why.
The patriotically correct radio show.
Eat me.
With Stu and Rich. Worldwide at thepcradioshow.com.